This is Sawyer Robertson, and you're listening to the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Welcome into the Bearcast on SicEm365.com. Today, huge news. Baylor has secured a commitment from Florida quarterback DJ Lagway, the former number one ranked quarterback in the 2024 recruiting class and 2024 National Gatorade Player of the Year, is a Bear. Massive day for Dave Aranda, massive day for Baylor fans everywhere. To land DJ a Baylor legacy does not happen all that often, especially for the highly rated ones. This is just huge for the program and something that I think you sit here and you came into the offseason thinking, man, this is going to be a really tough offseason. It's going to be a lot of negativity, a lot of problems, a lot of probably bad rumors. You're going to see a lot of attrition, and everyone's going to have to figure out, kind of where they're at going into next season. But I think at least for this part of the offseason, Baylor's done a great job. And I think this one really, again, it buys you some goodwill with the fan base because they made the decision to go all in on DJ after just 1 week of the portal being open. They got his final visit and they were able to land him. And now you see it kind of what it can do for you, right? I mean, you look at the media attention, you look at what people are saying about the Baylor program, some good, some bad, talking about, whether this is a good landing spot for DJ. You got people making up stuff like the market wasn't very good for DJ. That's just not true. I mean, this was a very loaded quarterback market in the transfer portal, and DJ had to fit in somewhere. And a lot of programs wanted him, and he ends up at Baylor, where his dad played. Just phenomenal stuff. Something that, again, I think all Baylor fans were really excited about, and something that I think for what the Baylor fans needed this offseason, this is as good as it gets as far as, what Baylor can do going into next year. So a couple things on him. Things have been trending this way for a few days. We reported this on SicEm 365 Premium. If you're a member there, you knew I had intel this morning, posted that, feeling good about where DJ was. This trip in general was a really good one for him and for Baylor. I mean, the way that they handled this trip, getting him to the basketball game, getting him in front of Baylor fans, that kind of media attention is good. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the reason that they landed him, but I do think it brought a lot of positive vibes, and all the pictures that you saw, all the videos that you saw, all that content, really, really good. I think for him, and good on Baylor, right? To go out, put him in front of all the fans and create that kind of excitement. For him, he obviously locked things in this morning. You got to see the reports, people coming out with him committing to Baylor, and you're off from there. And that's exactly what happened for the Bears. He took trips to Florida State and Virginia leading into this Baylor visit. Rumors of, LSU, Miami, Stanford, Ole Miss. There were a few others as well. The rumors, not necessarily what unfolded, but there was a market for him. I think even Louisville was mentioned at one time before they landed their quarterback. So a lot of buzz here. And in general, a really, really awesome addition for Baylor. The biggest addition they're probably going to make this offseason, at least the one that moves the needle the most, and one that I think a lot of people felt like needed to happen. I think as this process went longer on, you kind of sat back and you're like, oh, should Baylor save money? I think most people were in the camp of no, Baylor shouldn't try to save money here. At least not all the money that a lot of people were talking about. Going out and getting a quarterback that's worth half of this doesn't move the needle as much. You spend to get a player of this caliber, but then you get the upside of a player of this caliber. And all the metrics to him, everything that he's built up leading up to this point, when you look at high school recruiting rankings, you even look at transfer portal rankings, they speak to someone that does have NFL talent. And that is something that you just can't really find all that often. I think it just became more and more apparent that this is what Baylor should do. And I think as the process went on, you kind of figured out, okay, maybe Baylor's not going to have to spend X amount, right? You've seen some guys go for some crazy amounts. I don't anticipate that's what happened here at all for DJ. I think they both found a number they were comfortable with. And then Baylor ends up landing DJ Lagway. I don't think it's a hometown discount. I think it's more so this is the best fit. We're going to make it work. And that's what Baylor did. That's what DJ did. And now it's about building a roster around him, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But let's talk about DJ, the player. He was the number one ranked quarterback in the 2024 class, consensus 5-star prospect. He's the highest rated commit Baylor has ever had on the roster. So as far as high school ranking, No one has had a higher ranking than him that has actually played for Baylor. Again, the recruiting profile speaks to someone who's an NFL player. It speaks to someone who could be an NFL first-round pick as well. Again, the profile leading up to his career in college. Now, the first year was really promising for him at Florida, threw for 1,915 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But the thing for him is he kind of battled Graham Mertz throughout the beginning of that season. So it brings his numbers back down to earth a little bit. His numbers probably would have been better had he been the full-time starter from day one. But the biggest thing was he led them to winning. Graham Mertz was out, and so DJ became the starter. He led the Gators to an 8-5 season with 4 straight wins over LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State, and Tulane in the bowl game. Awesome. And that's why you came into this offseason. Everyone just got to sit back and listen to him being a preseason Heisman contender. And that was kind of stinging, I think, for Baylor fans. I know for myself, hearing them talk about, DJ, how good he's going to be. It's like, man, you kind of wish he would have been at Baylor, right, this whole time. And so all that conversation definitely took place this offseason for good reason. I mean, he really got this Florida program going, gave them a little bit of a spark, gave Billy Napier another year. And then coming into this season, it just unraveled really for them, for the entire team. And it was one of those situations where you looked at their schedule before the season, and you kind of did that with them and for Oklahoma. You looked at their schedule and you went, man, this could be a disaster. Now, Oklahoma thrived. They got through it. They had a great season, ended up making the college football playoff. Then on the flip side, you had Florida, who had this really tough schedule and just cratered. But again, the schedule was insane. They played South Florida, who ended up being awesome this year. They went to LSU, to Miami. They played Texas, at A&M, Georgia, at Ole Miss, Tennessee. I mean, there's good reason for this thing kind of going off the rails a little bit. You got a quarterback on a hot seat, or you got a coach on the hot seat. You got a quarterback that's trying to find his way here. You don't have much of a running game. Florida's defense was good. It wasn't elite. And so all of that coming together, I mean, it just was a really tough situation. And DJ also, missed a lot of time as well, which I'm going to get to in a second. But I think there's a lot of reasons to explain this past season for Florida. It just was an unfortunate circumstance for DJ and for Billy Napier and for Florida in general. It led to the bad year. And now it's about, what is he? Where does DJ Lagway go from here? That's the question that Baylor fans are going to have really all offseason. But to me, it starts here. It starts with the injuries. That's where it has to start with him. He was hurt constantly this offseason, and it set him back. It set the team back. He had hernia surgery. He had a shoulder injury that he decided not to have surgery on. Those set him back this offseason. He didn't throw the ball a lot. And so he's not building that cohesiveness with his receivers. His receivers also missed time this offseason. A lot of the offensive guys missed time. And you've heard, if you listen to a lot of the preseason stuff, a lot of people were excited about Florida. And then as the season got closer, it was kind of like, man, is this guy going to be healthy for the season? Is this guy going to be healthy for the season? And I think there was a lot of people kind of having suspicions about whether this year would go good for them or not because of that. And DJ was a part of that. How healthy is he going to be? Is he going to be back in time for the season at 100%? I don't think he was at 100% this year. I really don't. I think the fact that they didn't build that cohesiveness in the offseason really hurt this ability for the offense to actually be good this year, especially with the schedule that they had. And that has to flip for DJ. He has to be healthy this offseason. If he's healthy, he makes it through the offseason, basically a full go. I'm going to feel pretty optimistic about what he can do and what this offense can do next year. You're seeing them bring in pieces on the offensive line, bring in pieces at receiver, at least that's coming up shortly. They should have the parts to be very good on offense. And I think he'll be very good, assuming he's healthy. If he's not healthy this offseason, I'm going to have concerns. I think most reasonable people will have concerns as well if he's not playing, if he's not working his way in this offense, if he's not spending time throwing to all these receivers who he's never thrown the football to before, that's going to be an issue. And I think you saw that with Sire Robertson this year and their pass catchers. I know it was a bad year for Baylor. I know the offense was not as good as the metrics say, but one thing, or the area, should I say, that was the best for them was their passing game. I mean, Sire Robertson led the nation in passing yards for almost the entire season and passing touchdowns. So The turnovers were the issue here and the offensive line, but the passing game wasn't. And I think it was because of all the reps they got in the offseason. You saw Josh Cameron, Michael Trigg, Kobe Prentice, Cole Wilson all have career years. Even Sawyer Robertson put up his most stats ever from a passing yardage and touchdown standpoint. So even though the offense wasn't great as a whole, I do think that if you have a healthy offseason from DJ, I do think there's reasons to be very optimistic, but I think this is where it starts for him. He's got to be healthy in the offseason. If he is, I think that's a great sign for what Baylor can be going forward with him as their quarterback. Now, speaking of the offense, I like the fit. I like it a lot. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but I think the main ones for me start here. He is elite in play action. So you go through his Pro Football Focus grades. He posted an 83.4 grade his first year at Florida, 9 big-time throws, only 2 turnover-worthy plays, 818 yards, 5 touchdowns. Then this year, 88.9 grade, 5 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays, 854 yards, 9 touchdowns. The play-action stuff has been really kind to DJ. He's been very, very good and comfortable in that area. And so if Baylor is able to get their run game back on track, which is something they've prioritized this offseason, it's going to be something that Jake Spavital wants to prioritize for this team. We saw it in 2024. I think we're going to see it again this year. This bodes well. That's an area that he can really excel. And I think along with that, when you run a lot of play action, it gives you the opportunity to take shots down the field. And that's also another area where I do think DJ is very good. Now, he was much better at this in 2024 than he was in 2025. So you're hoping that's not a sign of him just consistently regressing and more a sign of what did Florida have on the offensive line? What did Florida have at receiver? Those changes and the run game obviously is a part of it too. But his first year at Florida, a 95.6 grade, throwing the football 20 plus yards down the field, 15 big time throws, 1 turnover worthy play, 733 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was awesome, spectacular in that area. Then you look at this year, it was only a 66.8. I think part of that is, again, the play action stuff, the receivers, the offensive line. He had 4 touchdowns, 10 big time throws, but 6 turnover worthy plays. I think you put that all together and you see, I think his best attributes, which is throwing the football down the field, making those big explosive plays off of play action with a very good run game. And we know Jake Spavital likes to take those shots down the field. And if DJ builds that cohesiveness with his receivers, I think you could see something really special from him in that area. Now you got to say it. It's the area that I know everyone's going to talk about, the area that he has to improve at, and that is 100% the turnovers. They're an issue, and it was an issue for Sawyer Robertson this past year in this offense. It wasn't as big of an issue the year before, even though Sawyer did turn the ball over some there as well. But DJ's got 23 interceptions in his career. That's not good enough. That's not going to win you a lot of football games. That has to get better and get cleaned up. Now, I can excuse the true freshman year. You're a true freshman. You're learning the game. I understand it. The nine interceptions, I get it. But this past year, he just was really off often. And that's a problem. I also felt like at times he was pressing a little bit. When you go back and look at some of their games, he's just pressing to make a play. Again, being on time, being on target with his receivers, having that consistency with them, having that passing relationship with them, I do think hurt them. They didn't have it, I don't think. And to me, that's an area that has to get cleaned up. And I think that's the area that's going to have to be addressed this offseason with Spav, with DJ. How do we not turn the ball over a lot? Because it really killed Baylor this year, and it killed Florida this year, and it's hurt DJ. And so for all those reasons, that has to get corrected. That's a huge question mark. So when you look at the injury concerns and the turnover concerns, those are my 2 biggest question marks. Now, here's the hidden ability, I think, in DJ. The thing that I would say is going to flip during his time at Baylor, and I think it really needs to for Baylor to reach what they want to be on offense, and it's the running ability. So DJ only has 237 yards and 1 touchdown in his career at Florida. He got really big, put on a lot of weight in his time at Florida. I think he was up to like 247, 245 pounds, somewhere along there. that's just too big. Like, he does not need to be that big of a quarterback. So I do think if he trims down a little bit, this area will help. I do think that when you look at what he did in high school, there's upside here. I mean, you don't see guys with this kind of stat line not be able to run at the college level. I mean, nearly 2,200 yards rushing and 29 touchdowns in 3 seasons of high school football, 700 yards a season. I mean that, and nearly 10 touchdowns. Like, that is not, you don't see that from a high school quarterback, and then that not being able to translate at all to the college level. I think some of that is the injuries. I think some of that is, maybe what Florida wanted him to do, how they wanted him to grow. I think DJ could get better in this area and will be better in this area. And Baylor needs this. I mean, we saw it this year. Sawyer did not want to run. They didn't want to run him. Sawyer didn't want to run off script. And now you look at DJ and it's like they need him to be able to do that because it opens so much in your offense. It's something that every program needs now. You need a quarterback that can actually run around a little bit and create something with their feet. DJ gives Baylor that. He also gives Baylor someone that I think can surprise people as well with designed runs. I think that's coming for him. When you look at just scrambling, he's got a great ability there. He can make you miss in the open field, and he's very strong, great size, tough to bring down the open field. That's an area that I do think you'll see growth from him. I think it's an area that you can bet on being a lot better than it has been for DJ so far in his career. Overall, I think just in general that you can't find a talent like this really that Baylor's going to be able to land very often from the high school level. You have to find it from guys in the portal. Landing a guy with this kind of talent is special, and it raises the ceiling of this team to a level that you really can't get to without very, very good quarterback play. And that's what they have the opportunity to get with DJ Lagway. There is some questions about the floor here, and I think those are fair questions, but there's no doubt the ceiling has now raised on Baylor's 2026 season thanks to this addition of DJ Lagway. I will be back later on this week, hopefully, to talk a little bit more about DJ, probably talk about some of the other guys that they're in a good spot to land, which that's coming. I'm just going to go ahead and preview that really quick. They are going to get some big names. They're going to get some big time pass catchers. They're going to revamp their offense. We've already seen it with the offensive line. Now we've seen it at quarterback. We're going to see it with some pass catchers. We're going to see it from the tight end and wide receiver spot. They're going to get a lot better there in due time. But thanks for listening today. This has been the Bearcast on Sikkim365.com.
Join Sikkim 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the Sikkim 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.